Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Mirror Dungeon solo video. Today, in honor of the new Time Killing Time rerun event, we're going to be using the previous event identity, Yurodivy Hong Lu. He is perhaps the single strongest Tremor identity in the entire game because he is the only Tremor identity who has access to the strongest Tremor type of Tremor Reverb. Before Tremor Reverb existed, Tremor as a whole was a pretty underwhelming status effect, only serving to make staggering enemies slightly easier. Reverb completely changed that by allowing Tremor to actually do damage and compete with the other status effects. It's nowhere near as powerful as things like Rupture, because it can only do damage on a Tremor burst, but it's good enough to ensure Tremor isn't a completely worthless status effect. Nowadays, I wouldn't say Yurodivy Hong Lu is as necessary to run because we do have access to an alternative Tremor type that has a similar effect to Reverb in the form of Tremor Scorch. However, for a pure Tremor team, Reverb is still more valuable because Scorch requires Burn to reach the same heights. If you want to build an effective Tremor team, Yurodivy Hong Lu is probably the single most important identity you can have, exclusively because of his access to Tremor Reverb. With that said though, the second Hong Lu gets another Tremor identity, I'm probably never going to touch this one ever again. Because his only real value comes from his access to Tremor Reverb, if you have something else that can inflict Tremor Reverb, it pretty much automatically invalidates his entire existence, and wouldn't you know it, we already have that in the form of Hong Lu's Cavernous Wailing ego. Because it's an ego, you can run it on anyone, and the only reason to use it with Yurodivy Hong Lu is because it's currently his only Tremor identity. Perhaps the only real benefit I can give the identity over the ego is that when he applies Reverb, he does so with Amplitude Entanglement, allowing him to more easily stack it with Tremor Scorch for a bit of extra damage. It gives him a bit of value, but when you also take into consideration that the second most important Tremor ego, Faust's Everlasting, also implies Amplitude Entanglement, his ego tends to win out more in the end. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, he's fine for now, but because of the existence of Cavernous Wailing, once we get a new Hong Lu Tremor identity, he'll be phased out very quickly. Anyway, to start the run off, we take these starter buffs and find these ego gifts on the first floor of the Outcast before making it to the boss against the Ebony Queen's Apple. This fight's been kind of bugged too, to be honest. Like, she just doesn't attack on the first turn for some reason. It's weird. But in any case, I don't really care about like any of the damage she does. She's so weak. You could just literally do this and ignore her entirely. Very easy fight.
이 렌즈 너머로는 항상 정답이 보인다고요. 직접 타도하죠.
It's why I like the what's he called? The Doomsday Calendar more. Like he's the best fight on this floor because well, he's not exactly difficult, but he's harder than the other two options, that's for certain. Because you can literally just ignore everything that they do, and it does nothing. Ridiculously easy. Barely even a boss. We take the Bell of Truth and cigarette holder for our reward before heading into Hell's Chicken for the next floor. Here we find Tango Marinade and buy Wobbling Keg and Emerald Elytra before making it to the boss against Papa Bongi. The chickens are pretty tricky to actually beat, mostly because we're fatal to blunt damage, but also because no matter what ego we use, we're always fatal to either Wrath or Lust damage. There's basically nothing we can do to avoid getting staggered, and being able to survive that requires a bit of RNG in the chicken's damage rolls. But yeah, if we want to roll heads with this, so that staggers the chicken here. A crit helps. Not necessary, but it helps. Good thing that it didn't kill either, because that would have been bad. Oh, nice defense skill too. We survive here. Very, very close, but we do survive, and that's all that matters. Probably still worth using an ego, another one, to change our resistances. That doesn't actually change our resistances. Well, it's still worth it for the gray coat healing, and it also kills one of the chickens too for even more healing that way. So it's kind of fine. Probably should use it in a different slot though, so that way I can use the skill too. Because it's like the skill 3 doesn't do anything. Yeah, the skill 3 doesn't do anything. Skill 2 does get a tremor burst though, which is nice in combination with his ego.
슬픔에 흔들린 나 이렇게 터져버리죠.
방금 멋졌어. 너희들의 사랑의 힘이 빛의 힘이 저 어둡고 악한 아르카나들을 뒤흔들었어.
Yeah, here we go.
승리도 시간 문제겠지?
Easy fight. Well, not easy, but doable.
직접 타도하죠.
Yikes. Oh no. We have to kill another chicken now. I was hoping Hong Lu clashed with the chicken before Papa, but whatever. This works. Yep, there's another chicken now. And Papa no longer has any tremor because Hong Lu doesn't inflict tremor count. Very cool.
직접 타도하죠.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest weaknesses of this identity is he's incapable of building a tremor stack on his own. He needs tremor support. And you know, I think it's fairly balanced because he does have what's it called? Tremor reverb, which is a very, very powerful effect. So not being able to build a tremor stack on his own, yeah, I think that's pretty balanced.
약점을 잘 찌른 것
내일도
같네요.
꼭 불러주기야.
We take the hot and juicy drumstick and a duplicate for our reward, while also receiving reverberation as a bonus, before heading into hatred and despair for the next floor. Here we find the Knight's Blessing and buy painkillers, while also fusing the Fragment of Inertia and Downpour, before making it to the boss against the Knight of Despair.
모두 집중해주길 바랄게. 이번에 제압할 개체는 이전과는 조금 다른 대응 방식이 필요하거든.
Alright, we're probably gonna corrode here, but it's whatever. It doesn't matter. If we corrode, we corrode. Just hope it doesn't corrode into the Wa ego, because then we're on a timer.
사랑과 정의의 이름으로 지금 이곳에 등장! 승객들,
I'm sure we could survive long
뭔가
enough.
기분 좋은 일이라도 있었던
Queen's
거야.
helping too. As she always does.
직접 타도하죠.
You know, I could use Cavernous Wailing right now to just apply the Tremor Reverb and guarantee that, you know, we don't corrode into the Wa Ego. What's it called? Tears of the Tarnished.
이번 역경을 헤쳐나가기만 하면 능력을 기를 수
We're also
있을
doing
거야.
pretty decent at stalling. Maybe we can actually keep stalling her out. Because the longer we stall,
죽지 않도록 도와줄게.
직접
the
타도하죠.
longer we stall, the more skill slots we'll have to deal with her swords. So stalling right now is actually a very good thing. You're losing a clash. Yikes. Get her, queen. No.
늦으면 내피랑 먼저 갈 거야.
Yeah, I don't think we can stall anymore. We're okay. We reached the limit, but we also get to
직접
do
타도하죠.
Tremor Reverb shenanigans. No, Queenie. Yes. No. Haha. Ugh. It's so hard for her to win a clash. But I guess that's what you get when you don't have sanity.
이런 것도 되죠.
I could have helped her. I should have helped her. I didn't realize she was faster than me, I'm gonna be honest. I would have redirected otherwise.
아르카나의 스프레드에 분명 강한 암시가 걸린 걸 거야. 조심해야 해. 둘레인 거야?
직접 타도하죠.
Yeah, see? Should have done that last turn. Redirected the attack so the queen could just do her thing. But it is what it is. It doesn't matter that much. I mean, it does a lot. She needs to be the best. Oh, one skill. Okay. I wasn't sure if that would do enough damage, so I double targeted it. That's a pretty reoccurring theme with me and like gimmicks like this. I'm not very good at judging the necessary damage required, and so I kind of overdo it when I don't need to.
직접 타도하죠. 이런 것도 되죠.
I honestly did bad targeting here because, you know, I should have used his skill 3 much later to build the Tremor count first. But then I probably wouldn't have enough damage to kill this sword here, so. It's probably fine.
어떻게 하신 거죠? 깜짝 놀랐어요. 운명 속에 파묻힌 그대의 이름을 걸고 나 여기서 빛을 맹세한다. 아까 했던 공격 덕에
직접 타도하죠.
I really do love this fight though. Like, because of how tanky the knight is, you're kind of forced to play into the gimmick, which honestly makes her probably the best gimmick fight in the entire game. Because like most other gimmick fights, like the Dreaming Electric Sheep, you can just brute force it and completely ignore the gimmick because the gimmick's like barely even prevalent in those fights. But this one, you have to play into it. You can still work around the gimmick though, so it's like it's not a complete force thing. So like I've seen a couple of videos of like 2-turning the Knight of Despair and whatever, but I don't know, I think it's more fun to play into the gimmick. Especially because in doing so, I can let my queen do the finishing blow. I hope this is enough damage. If it's not, we got another turn, so it's fine. Might be too much damage, actually. No, we're fine. We're fine. Oh, 2 HP. But then, Downpour does the last damage. Get him, Queenie. People have said that could roll tails, but I've still never seen it.
당신 그래도 자, 악당 배치 성공! 오늘도 정말 멋진 활약이었어.
We take Spent Use Forming Hate and the Golden Urn for our reward, while also receiving 4-leaf clover as a bonus, before heading into Murder on the Warp Express for the next floor. Here we buy the Ornamental Horseshoe and fuse Punctured Memory, before making it to the boss against Cassetti.
쟤네 분위기 되게 좋다. 직접 타도하죠.
Alright. Time to beat Cassetti. Super easily. because Cassetti is ultra weak to Tremor for
이렇게
some reason.
터져버리죠. 아, 완전 과감한 판단이었어요. 중계하지 말아지 좀 마시라니까.
Also spam the ego because we want to get through this as quickly as possible. And this is just efficient.
직접 타도하죠. 슬픔에 흔들린 마음 이렇게 터져버리죠.
와, 엄청난 공격이었어. 기념할 만한 걸.
Okay, I have an idea.
유리한 환경이 되었네.
I have an idea. It's called
직접
doing this.
타도하죠. 이런 것도 되죠. 편하게 가자고요.
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나갔어. 괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 이 기세로 계속 나아가보자.
슬픔에 흔들린 마음 이렇게
It should kill most of them.
터져버리죠.
Sarah, no, not Sarah. Sasha should still be alive
아, 술 맛을 돋고
at the end of this, but
약점을 잘 찌른
she'll be the only one alive, probably.
것도 되죠.
Maybe one more. Yeah, he survives too, but it doesn't matter.
직접 타도하죠. 편하게 가자고요.
Alright, Cassetti. Time to die.
직접 타도하죠.
This will be a quick fight. Very quick. Like I said, he's like ultra weak to Tremor for some reason.
것도 되죠.
Unless I kill the stack, because he doesn't have any goddamn Tremor count application. It's okay. Well, next turn. We'll have more Tremor count. And I won't kill the stack instantly.
오늘도 정의로운 날이 될 수 있도록 힘내자.
Hopefully.
함께 아르카나 비트.
직접 타도하죠.
Alright, Hong Lu, don't kill the stack this time. I know you want to really, really badly, but don't do it. God, we like barely have enough count with all of the ego gifts.
A에 거스르지
But hey, we
말고
skipped Cassetti's healing phase, so that's nice.
보세요, 관리자님.
직접 타도하죠.
And this is why Cassetti is super weak to Tremor. You get to stagger him before he can do anything, and then just win. Completely counter his entire gimmick.
악당 퇴치 성공. 오늘도 정말 멋진 활약이었어.
We take Green Spirit and Oscillating Bracelet for our reward before heading into Time-Killing Time for the final floor. Here we find the Etched Clock Hands and buy the Rusted Clock Hands and Chalice of Trickle Down before making it to the boss against the Time Ripper. The Time Ripper is a fairly easy fight considering most of his gimmicks are countered by simply being in the Mirror Dungeon. His main threat is actually his mini-robots, as they can inflict a sizable amount of bleed damage with the right setup, and you'll almost never have enough skill slots to clash with them and the Time Ripper at the same time. It's not enough for us to care though, so this fight is still pretty easy. You know, I am curious how they're gonna buff this guy, because all the reruns, you have to buff them, right? If you don't buff the character, then there's no point in doing the rerun. And it's like, how are they gonna buff this guy, you know? He doesn't really have any gimmicks that can be buffed, really. So apart from just giving him like unbreakable coins and stuff, I don't really see how they're gonna really make him any scarier. Because if you do give him unbreakable coins, right, then
저희에게도 이런 힘을 베풀어 주시다니. 직접 타도.
if you do give him unbreakable coins, then that means he inflicts a lot more bleed damage. And bleed damage is pretty scary. So, yeah, I guess that's probably the main way they're gonna buff him. They're just gonna give him unbreakable coins so he can do bleed damage more often.
입에서 갑자기 쓴맛이.
직접 타도하죠.
They'll probably also, like, make his gimmick a lot more powerful, so more speed, more clash power, stuff like that. But other than that, it's like, I don't really see how they're gonna make him scarier. It's like a bamboo-headed Kim situation where, yeah, he's technically harder, but not really.
요즘 고민거리는 없어?
Okay. I probably have to use an ego here because the stupid robots are being really, really annoying. And I don't think I have enough health for them.
방금 멋졌어.
Is what it is, I suppose.
빛의 힘이 저 어둡고 악한 아르카나들을
다들
뒤흔들었어.
첫 여정을 시작했을 때보다
이대로면
정말
승리도
강해지셨군요.
시작문제겠지?
매일 보아하는데도
If I didn't use the ego, I would have had to use skill 1s instead of skill 2s to get healing that way.
터져버리죠.
Because I doubt I would have enough health to be able to survive the mini robots.
그 팀의 직원다운 완벽한 공격이었어.
이런 것도 되죠.
Maybe I could have just dogpiled the Time Ripper and been able to kill him that way, but
그렇게
I
시원하게
probably could have done that. I probably could have done that.
직접 타도
Oh well, I win now though.
차포잡이라 예상한 것보다 움직임이 더 좋구나.
이런 것도 되죠. 편하게 가자고요.
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나갔어. 괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 오늘도 정말 멋진 계속 나아가보자.
데이에 맞서는 자들을 확실하게 굴복시켰죠. 그럼 다음 타겟을 설정해 볼까요?
And that's how I beat Mirror Dungeon 6 hard using only Yurodivy Hong Lu. He's good because of his access to Tremor reverb, but he does require a lot of Tremor support as he can't actually build a Tremor stack himself. You'll still always want to run him though up until Hong Lu gets a new Tremor identity, because Tremor reverb is just that good. Anyway, that's it from me. Like and subscribe to not miss next time where we'll be using this character. Goodbye!